Hey, welcome back again to Lost Gold of World War II. And it's a season finale. I didn't get last week's up, so this was like 3 hours worth. And basically nothing happened in 3 hours except for, let's just say, the last hour of the show. Sorry these are up late. It winds up that I've been trying to move my room around, and I got kind of a little on the sick side because I got sleeping problems and my neck got hurting, and the pillows, I had to go buy new pillows, and then I bought a new bed, and the bed showed up 2 days late, so I'm really angry. So I'm fighting the shipper to come back and take it back and send it back, and they haven't showed up in 3 days to come and get it back, even though there's been work orders for it. So let's just get into this. All right, so Bingo goes and talks to a historian who said that MacArthur started the M Fund. That's true. You also had the Keenan Fund, and then you had some other conspiracy theories. But what was not said was Santo Romano and Lansdale was not mentioned. He mentioned that MacArthur had Yamashita's driver tortured. Yamashita didn't bury gold. It was Chichibu, Prince Chichibu. It would have been his driver. And he said they tortured the driver, and the driver gave up 15 locations. Now this could be true. The answer, the key to everything, I'm talking all conspiracy theories, all what happened. Is it true the Japanese buried a lot of gold? Did the Japanese not bury a lot of gold? All lies with Santo Romana. Santo Romana died with $1.6 billion. 600 million of that in 1973, I believe it was something like 250 tons of gold. So where did he get 250 tons? Now, if you're talking 250 tons and you're talking 1.6, let's just say it's 600 tons of gold. So you have to find out where Santo Romano was, if he was in the Philippines the whole time, or if he was in Japan diving for gold in Tokyo Bay like they suggested. FDR said that the total war cost for the U.S. during World War II was $1 billion. Lansdale, I believe, was a captain or a captain at the time, wound up becoming the CIA director. You have to find out where was Lansdale. If Lansdale was in the Philippines and he was in Japan, and you can find out where Santa Romana was, you will find the truth to this whole gold story. But like I said, 200 tons of gold Santa Romana did have. Now, it was reported he was part of the Knights of Malta, the Vatican Underground, and there's another one. They suggested that Santa Romana brought gold from Europe to the Philippines to protect it during World War II so the Nazis couldn't get a hold of it. And he was knighted into the Knights of Malta, which is a Knights Templar organization. That was the Knights of Malta. He was knighted. Lansdale was knighted. Santa Romana was supposed to be in the Club of Rome and the Vatican Underground. Both of them smuggled gold out of the countries in Europe and brought them to the Philippines. Whether it's true or not, that's one of the rumors. Another one was he was helping Marcos launder money, buy gold, and he drank himself to death. He died in, I believe it was 1973 and 1974. Oddly enough, this was when the Laurel Langley Agreement ended, 51% of all businesses in the Philippines had to be Philippine owned. Now, here's another thing that you might find very interesting. In 1940 or 41, just before the Japanese attacked the Philippines, the USS Trump came into the Manila and it took all the gold deposits, reserves out of the Philippines. It was only 20 tons. So if only 20 tons were taken in 1940, then Santa Romana had 200 tons there was something very, very suspicious right here. There is gold missing, or gold was discovered. Now here's the other thing you might want to consider. 20 tons was taken out in 1940. When Marcos left office in 1986, there was only 25 tons in the national deposit. So between 1940 and 1986, 46 years and 45 years, when the entire country produces 4 to 12 tons of gold per year. So another thing that you might find very interesting is the stats on gold in the around the world. In 1945, according to the World Banking Association, the World Gold Depository, you can find this, you can look this up and Google it, and you can find the chart. And if I can find it on my computer, I think I know where it's at, I'm going to show it. In 1945, there was only 65,000 metric tons of gold worldwide known demand. Now, it was 45,000 the book, but if you add 20% for jewelry, private collections, they believe it's only like 65,000. So if there's only 65,000, there's no way. There's no way MacArthur could have secured over 40,000 tons of gold. Now, they could have found 40 tons of gold or 400 tons of gold, but not 20,000 tons. Because if you got 20,000 tons of gold, that's half the gold in the world. And that would raise a lot of alarms on the radar. So I'm going to say they found probably 400 to 500 tons of gold easily. 600 tons probably with Santa Romana, so we're talking probably 1,000 to 2,000 tons of gold. That's a great possibility. Another possibility is the Japanese during the war, they needed gold to pay for the war effort. So they were stealing it, but when you go up to the place where these people are now, there's gold mines. They could have had people mining these areas trying to find the gold, smelting it, and selling the gold back to Japan. So they send the gold back to Japan. And like I said, there was approximately, I think, 2,000 tons of the Maru that was dropped off in Singapore, or 20 tons. And that was dropped off, and the boat went to China with supplies, like bamboo stuff, coconut fibers, I don't know, rubber, and it was sank. But I'm just saying that it went from 20 tons to 20,000 tons. So MacArthur may have not got 20,000 tons. He may have got 20,000 pounds, which would be 20 tons. So that's what I'm saying. Some of the stuff might be a little over-exaggerated in the numbers. So they went and they talked to an expert, and like I said, and he did not mention Santa Romana, he did not mention Lansdale, but he did mention that the Japanese were easily ready to give up information to save their lives. When Yamashita was tried in the Philippines, there was 8,000 pages of text. So the whole time during the trial, everything was written down. Evidence was presented. He made his case. The United States government made their case. In fact, Yamashita was innocent. He had nothing to do with the crimes. He was just there as a figurehead to be killed. Hama was the one, Homma, was the one that allowed the Philippine people to be killed like they were. Kono was another one that did it. There was a lieutenant under Kono, vicious, and he killed some Americans. And the Philippine guerrillas actually contacted the U.S. military through their sources, and they sent up submarines, and they got families out, missionaries out of the Philippines, but some of them didn't make it. They got their heads chopped off. This lieutenant was killed. In Saipan, they captured Saipan, But they captured some Japanese soldiers, and this was declassified, I think, about 2002, so about 18 years ago. One of the soldiers said there is buried documents in Carapan, and they were maps to like Iwo Jima and plans from the Japanese military, what they plan to do to attack the U.S. military and all this other stuff. So it winds up that he said everything that was in here, and at the time, all this stuff would have been very important to the U.S. military. Now it would just be historical documents, but no one's ever found it. They don't know if it's true. He drew a map of Carapan, where it's at, but no one even to this day can understand what it means, because all he said was behind some tennis courts. But that was 65 years ago, 70 years ago. No one knows where those tennis courts are to this day. I do know where some tennis courts are, but they're down by the airfield, the airfield that no longer exists. And there's a school now on the airfield, and occasionally you'll find hand grenades. I mean, for 20 years, children played out in the yards, and finally one day a hand grenade was found out just coming out of the ground. So they dig a borehole and they find a void, so now they dig a bigger void hole and they found some boxes. So they're all excited. They go into the tunnel, they find a tunnel, and it leads back to another tunnel out the back. Japanese, like, two-side tunnels. They could attack from both sides, and if they were attacked on this side, they could escape the other side. If they were blown up, or they had the fire shooters that go in there, they could escape. This was very normal. I've been in these caves. I've found medicine vials. I've found pins. I've found watches. I mean, you can name it. Hand grenades I've found. I found shoes. I found bottles. I found coins. The coin was called sen, not yen, sen, S-E-N. It changed after the war. They used aluminum for the coins. And the coins I found were actually stolen. So I'm really disappointed in that. I'd like to get some back. So finally, they get investigated by the inspectors come in and they just check it. The inspectors come in and make sure that you're following safety procedures and everything's fine, because the Philippine government is going to take about 80% of what you earn. So McDougal, saying he's not greedy, is offering bingo 1%. 1% gross. Okay, let's just put it down this way. $100 million. Philippine government's going to take 20 million of that. Out of that 100 million, the producers, John and them, I'll get 1 million. But everything that cost them to get that 1 million is not their problem. They might wind up with $10,000, but Dougal winds up with 19. Not a good deal. I would say 10% net minus expenses. That's what I would say. And then McDougal says this is an original map. No, it's not an original map. You already been tested to be from the 1970s. Marcos never had possession of the maps. Marcos never knew anything about the maps. Marcos made a fake industry selling maps and saying where gold was. Now, here's another thing. Marcos made that fake industry and just say where the gold was so people would come and invest in the Philippines. But another thing is, every fake map has a story. A Japanese soldier gave it to him because they were sick. A Japanese soldier gave it to his son who's half Filipino. Marcos, it was on Marcos's desk. These are probably all fake. McDougal knows it. So I don't understand why McDougal's even coming through. Now finally they say, yeah, there was a cave-in and 2 people died, and this is the reason why McDougal is no longer in the Philippines and everything. So finally they say it. So I'm really shocked that they would actually say that. So they decide to go with McDougal and look at some of the other maps. They think they found it in Surigao. Surigao is an island between Leyte and Mindanao. Mindanao is known for its gold mines. Leyte is known for the beautiful beaches. Surigao now is one of the top tourist sites in the Philippines. It is probably in the top 5 must-see islands in the Philippines. Thousands and tens of thousands of people go there per year. In fact, my daughter just got back from the Philippines probably April, before the pandemic hit. May have been February. She got back, she went to Surigao. Surigao is on my bucket list because they do surfing. They have a river that you can go on that's just beautiful. And I'm just like, this is an island I'm going to. It is one of the top islands. When you ask a Filipino what islands they want to go to, it's Calaganaman Island and Surigao. Then you got Roblan, Tablas, Carabao, and Boracay. Then you can go down to Palawan. You got all these islands. So now they're going down there and they found clues. But you got to remember, there's on some of these clues, some of the clues were left by indigenous people to let other indigenous people know where things were, like where's fresh water, where's fish. So if someone's lost, they can find it. The jungle grows so rapidly that you can actually lose track of where you are. And a big island like Surigao, I'm not going to say it's huge, humongous. It might be like the size of Manhattan, maybe even smaller. But the Japanese actually, right north of it, I believe it was north of it. Okay, Tacloban Leyte is where MacArthur landed. Prior to the U.S. attacking Tacloban, they fought a big battle in Leyte Gulf where the Japanese lost 4 or 5 of their warships and practically the whole Navy, or a big portion of the Japanese Navy, wiped out. So the Japanese, when MacArthur attacked Tacloban, the entire Japanese military moved inwards. Aklan, they moved up. Pasay, they moved up. And then they moved up, and then they went into the center and moved up into the mountains of Luzon. And this is their strategy. I don't know why they just formed it. They did not want to lose Luzon at all. So a lot of the smaller islands either went to Mindanao, Pasay, and then they moved up to Aklan, up to Luzon, because the U.S. attacked Leyte, and then they went across and they went up. And so the Visayas were the last places after they attacked Luzon, and they came down and then they attacked Luzon. So I don't believe there would be gold on Surigao. They would have moved it to Mindanao. Mindanao is where a lot of the gold would be, and up by Baguio is where a lot of gold would be. And so they've decided to move. I don't know why. If you just dug that borehole, you dug a borehole and you saw some boxes there, why are you trying to leave now? And why is the show ending? I mean, you got to get a big another big borehole, and just go right down in there, and there you go. So right now you got the pandemic going. I don't think they're filming, so the best of luck to them. And all right, thank you.